The command deck of the Valiant Dawn hummed with tension as Scarlet checked her weapon systems for the third time. Around her, the veteran pilots of the Galactic Coalition's 7th Fleet, prepared for what military analysts called a routine defensive maneuver. She knew better. The Kretha Armada didn't do routine. Cadet, the voice dripped with contempt. Flight Commander Zexler, a Thorian whose crystalline exoskeleton reflected the red emergency lights, loomed over her station. Perhaps you should observe from the reserve bay. This operation requires experience. Scarlet's jaw tightened, but she kept her eyes on her screens. With respect, Commander, I'm certified for combat operations. A series of clicks. Thorian laughter code from several stations. Certified. Zexler's translator rendered his amusement perfectly. Your species has been space capable for barely 2 centuries. I have been flying combat missions for longer than your entire civilization has known about faster than light travel. It wasn't the first time Scarlet had heard this. Humanity's admission to the Galactic Coalition 5 years ago had been controversial. The elder species viewed them as impulsive children playing with weapons they didn't understand. The fact that Earth had nearly destroyed itself 3 times before achieving interstellar flight didn't help their reputation. Contact. The sensor operator's voice cut through the tension. Kretha battle group emerging from dark space. 57 capital ships, 300 fighters. The deck erupted into controlled chaos. Scarlet's hands moved across her controls, bringing her heavy fighter systems online. The Hammerhead was a human design, scorned by Coalition engineers for its inelegant brutality. Where other species built sleek, energy-efficient fighters, humans had bolted the largest plasma cannon they could find onto a frame barely capable of containing it. All fighters, launch in defensive formation. Thatanine, Zexler commanded. Cadets will maintain rear positions, and Commander, they're not slowing down. The sensor operator's voice carried a note of panic. They're charging straight through our forward line. Scarlet watched her tactical display in horror. The Kretha were infamous for their calculated, methodical warfare. This was suicide tactics unless they knew something the Coalition didn't. Then she saw it, a slight distortion in the sensor readings. Exactly where the Coalition's flagship, the Sovereign Light, held position. Her training at the Terran Naval Academy kicked in. She'd written her thesis on unconventional warfare patterns, studying everything from ancient Earth naval battles to modern insurgency tactics. Commander, Scarlet's voice cracked with urgency. It's a trap. They've got a singularity mine positioned at Silence. Cadet, maintain your position. Zexler cut her off. Their tactics are transparent to someone with actual combat experience. Scarlet looked at her co-pilot, Liam, stationed in the weapons officer seat behind her. His human face reflected her own frustration. They'd gone through the academy together, endured the same dismissive attitudes, the same condescending lectures about how young species needed to observe and learn. Scar, Liam said quietly over their private channel. If you're right, 18. 1,000 crew on the Sovereign Light, she whispered back. And the Admiral. The Kretha fighters were engaging now, and the Coalition forces moved to intercept, drawing them toward the flagship just as the enemy wanted. Scarlet made her decision that she broke formation. Cadet Scarlet, return to your position immediately. Zexler's voice exploded in her helmet. Negative, Commander. Her hands flew across the controls, pushing the Hammerhead's human-designed engines beyond their recommended limits. I'm detecting a singularity mine. If it detonates, there is no mine. You're seeing sensor ghosts. A common mistake for inexperienced. Scarlet stopped listening. She calculated the trajectory, the timing, the impossible shot she'd have to make. The Hammerhead's plasma cannon wasn't designed for precision. It was designed to punch through heavy armor at close range. But humans hadn't survived by accepting limitations. Liam, redirect all power from shields to the main cannon. Everything. That's insane. Will be a floating target. Do it. The Hammerhead systems screamed protests as Liam rerouted the power. Scarlet felt the fighter buck under the energy surge. On her display, she could see Coalition fighters being cut down. The Kretha pushing them back, toward the singularity mine that would consume their flagship and turn the battle into a rout. She had one shot. Her targeting computer said the angle was impossible. The distance was too great. The mine's shielding was too strong. Every calculation, every simulation said she would fail. Scarlet thought about her grandmother, who'd flown helicopter gunships in Earth's resource wars, about the human tendency to try anyway, to rage against the mathematics of the universe, and sometimes, just sometimes, to win. She fired. The Hammerhead's plasma cannon unleashed a torrent of superheated matter that turned the void white. The recoil sent her spinning, systems failing, but Scarlet kept her eyes on the target. The plasma stream hit the Singularity mines. Shield generator, not the mine itself, but the tiny emitter protecting it. The shield collapsed for a microsecond. That was enough. The mine's own gravitational field, no longer contained, inverted. Instead of consuming the Coalition flagship, it swallowed 36 Kreetha fighters and turned their assault formation into chaos. Impossible. Someone whispered on the command channel. Scarlet wrestled her crippled fighter back toward the carrier, Liam already working to restore basic systems. On the tactical display, she watched the Coalition forces rally, pressing their unexpected advantage. The Kreetha, their trap sprung on themselves, began a full retreat when she finally landed more of a controlled crash. Scarlet found Commander Zexler waiting on the flight deck. His crystalline features were unreadable, but he stood at attention. "Cadet Scarlet," he said, his translator carrying an unusual weight. Perhaps there is more than one kind of experience." Scarlet climbed down from her fighter, legs shaking from adrenaline. Around the deck, pilots from a dozen species watched in silence. "Permission to speak freely, Commander." Zexler's crystals flickered a Thorian nod. "Humans might be young," Scarlet said, "but we've been fighting our whole existence. We've learned that sometimes the impossible shot is the only shot worth taking. Maybe that's what you need us for." Liam joined her, and together they walked across the deck, past the watching veterans. Behind them, the scorched hammerhead bore the marks of a battle that the analysts would study for years the day a human cadet rewrote Coalition tactical doctrine with a single, impossible shot. In the vastness of space, humanity was still learning, but they were teaching too, and the galaxy was starting to listen.